Just a word, there is some negative news on TCS and Infosys. US has opened the probe against these companies for misuse of H1-B visa, or alleged misuse of H1-B visa. And TCS has taken a minor setback, not so much in Infi. Markets, of course, are not taking any setback at all.
In fact, Lata, I think Infosys and TCS are at the low point of the day as we speak. So Infosys intraday chart should also come up for you. It's down 0.3% at this point. Reema, would you like to come in on this? I know you don't have details at this point, but how big or small could it be?
Looks like a sentimental negative because it's opened a probe, I guess.
Yes, for one, H1-B visas, for the benefit of our viewers, is when, these IT companies take, Indians on a temporary visa. They put them on, the on-site to do the consulting work or to do, a project specific, and then they come back. But a chunk of the work is, I don't have the exact numbers or even approximate numbers, but a significant portion of, employees do go to the US on the H1-B visa. So this is a negative news if something comes out of that. But in the past also, we've seen, most of these companies facing visa issues. There have been many whistleblowers as well who've spoken about the misuse, by Indian IT companies with respect to H1-B visas. So we'll have to see the way it plays out. As of now, it's it's going to be a overhang on the stock.
For TCS and Infosys in particular, what were the past news pieces? As of now, you'd have to do some digging up on that. But definitely, Infosys is taking a little bit of a knock. In fact, it's down below the 2,000 rupee mark. Remember that it was in focus on account of all of those CLSA notes which had come out on Infosys just a couple of days ago. TCS also, in fact, at the low point of the day. Prakash, can we get a word in from you on this? If you've managed to sort of just recap a little bit of the news with regards to TCS and Infosys and maybe what a US probe could do?
Yeah, so except for what I could see on my phone in terms of news alerts, it seems, this probe was postponed for a while because, they were not too sure whether Infosys particularly had exceeded the quota that's allowed. There's a particular number every year that the US government releases. And there was an allegation that they'd clubbed the numbers for 2 particular years and 2 calendar years to kind of, justify their over exceeding that. But so that's something which they have been talking about. I think, as Lata said, it'll be sentimentally negative. It's an occupational hazard for most of these companies, big and small. But because the probe has named these 2 companies particularly, you see that reaction. But it could actually impact a lot of other companies as well if it was to be a secular investigation into the entire trend.
Some more details, Prakash, which we can fill in our viewers on from the PTI report itself, where the Department of Labour has opened the investigation against TCS and Infosys for quote-unquote possible violation of rules for visas for foreign technology workers under contracts they held with an electric utility, Southern California Edison. This is basically quoted by the New York Times. So this is an article which came up in the New York Times and has now been picked up by the PTI. So it is in particular with this power company, where the power company had recently laid off more than 500 technology workers amid claims that many of those laid off were made to train their replacements who were immigrants on the temporary work visas brought in by the Indian firms. And that's basically the allegation which is at this point in time. TCS, in fact, low point of the day.
Even Disney had a similar story when, they've laid off a lot of people very recently, and then, the allegations were that, we had to train...
I don't know to what extent this would tantamount to an H1-B visa violation, but we'll have to wait and see.
But
anyway, at the moment,
it
looks like a sentiment negative only. It has anyway taken its toll on the Nifty, with these 2 stocks getting a little bit into the red. The Nifty has moved that distance away from 8,7978. As we speak. Expert on that, Sarabjit Kaur, Nangra, the VP Research at Angel Broking, is joining in. Sarabjit, did you get to read the New York Times article and the flashes that we ran? Is this going to be a major negative for the IT stocks, or is it just for the moment?
Not Lata too much into detail, but I guess this issue has been coming up in various forms in terms of H1 visa with respect to IT companies, and I guess it's a similar trend that we see both in pharma also, wherein you see US FDA, impacting some legislations for Indian manufacturing companies. So I think it's something which probably is a part and parcel of the business. So I guess as of now, we are not reading too much into it in terms of numbers, and let's see how this development pans out. So I think it's more
you're not marking down. You're not
No.
marking down anything. You're just waiting and watching.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you don't think it will balloon into something big? Do you?
I don't think so, because it's imperative for outsourcing is something which benefits both. So it's not that American companies are not benefiting out of it. So I don't think it should be that extreme case of any resolution which happens will be beneficial for both economies put together, because both are benefiting out of it. So I don't think it should boil down to something very dramatic as far as my reading goes, going by the economics of the business.
Okay, well, there is some